Hi everybody, it's Terry with Crafty Book Nerd here today with another video share. Today I'm going to be talking about the 7 books that I managed to read for the month of August. But first, you know what time it is, time for our quote of the day. And today's quote is a Bible verse, Psalms 107:1. And it says, "Give thanks to the Lord, for he is good. His faithful love endures forever." And that's today's quote. So like I said, I read 7 books in August. It's been really hot here. In fact, right now it's like 100, but feels like 109 outside. And so there's not a lot you can do but stay inside, keep cool, and read. One thing though, I got a cup of coffee. No matter how hot it is, I'm going to be drinking my coffee. And you'll notice that this is a Halloween mug. I'm hopeful that maybe if I drink this, that Mother Nature will get a hint and bring us some cooler weather, because I am tired of this heat. But I'm still going to drink my coffee. So let's dive in. So the first 2 books I'm going to talk about, I don't have the physical books anymore. Had to return those to the library. The first one is Identity by Nora Roberts. It's been a long, long time since I read a Nora Roberts book, and I had seen this one, some other people talking about it, so I thought, why not? I'll give it a shot. It's about a lady named Morgan who has her identity stolen, and I'm sure that some of you can relate to that because it's probably happened to you. I haven't had my identity stolen so much, but I've had my, some of my cards and different things that I used to pay online compromised and had to set up new accounts and stuff like that. And we all know what a pain it can be. Well, that's what happens to Morgan in this story. And so she decides that she's going to have to start over somewhere and get a new start. So she moves back to her hometown, and she's working at a bar and trying to put everything back together. And she meets a man. His name is Luke. He's very good looking, very charming, and he wants to get to know her better. And she's not suspecting anything. Well, she should have, because unfortunately Luke isn't who he says he is, and Morgan's life is turned upside down. So I'm not going to tell you much more than that. Other than it's about identity theft, about a young woman starting over. It's a mystery. It's got a little bit of romance in it. I liked the main character, Morgan. She's very resilient, hardworking, and determined not to let what happened to her ruin her life. So that's Nora Roberts' Identity, and I gave this one 4 stars. The next one I want to talk about is by an author that I have loved some of his other books. One of his books that I've read that I loved was The One, and the other one was Passengers, and that's John Marrs. And I just read The Vacation by him. Unfortunately, this one disappointed me a little bit. I did listen to the audio, and the narration was good. They had different voices for the different characters, but it just didn't seem as much of a thriller to me as some of John Marrs' other work. In this book, we're following 8 main characters, so that was hard for me to keep up with right there. So we've got these 8 main characters, and they all have a secret. They have something that's happened in their past, and they're trying to escape from that, and they all end up staying at the same hostel on a beach. And even the people who run the hostel have their own secrets. And so everybody's trying to hide, and we go back and forth. We get to see what happened to each character in the past that brought them to the point they are now in the story, and then go forward with each of those characters. Sometimes it was hard for me to keep parts of it straight. It was pretty messed up. The characters were pretty messed up. They all need therapy, in my opinion. But I only gave this one 3 stars. It was a little bit of a disappointment for me, and that's The Vacation. The next one, which was also kind of a disappointment, and I think it's got mixed reviews, and that's The Writing Retreat by Julia Bartz. I only gave this one 3 stars. I don't know. I couldn't get into it. I mean, it had a good potential, about a famous writer who's kind of secluded, lives on this large estate that's very isolated, and she invites some writers to come for a month-long writing retreat. one of those writers is Alex, and she's kind of been on a slump and needs to kind of get her writing kicked off. And so she thinks that maybe this will be a good opportunity for her to do that. And so she attends the retreat hoping that it will help her. So Rosa, the author, the well-known author that invites them to her estate, she tells them that while they're there for a month, they're each going to write a new novel. And the one that she selects as the best will get a lucrative publishing deal. So, of course, now they're all in competition with each other. But it starts out kind of innocent, but then things turn really creepy. It just gets creepy with the different characters, and they can't communicate with the outside world. And so strange things begin happening. Women begin to die there. And Alex is trying to figure out what the is going on. Just like I was trying to figure that out. However, I did figure out kind of the ending before we got to that point. It was creepy. There was some plot twist in it, but some of it was just a little bit unbelievable. And it made me want more. Like I said, it was a good premise for the book, but it just fell short for me, so I gave it 3 stars, The Writing Retreat. The next one I want to talk about was another 3-star for me, and that's Bright and Deadly Things. And this was not memorable at all. I probably maybe could have even given it lower stars because I read this early in the month, and when I got ready today to talk about it, I had to go back and read the blurb because I kind of forgot what it was about, if that tells you anything. This is by Lexi Elliott. I've never read anything by this author before. But it's a story about Emily, and she is a fellow at Oxford, and she has just lost her husband, and she is overcome with grief, and she wants to get her life back in order. And every year, there's a group of scholars and fellows that meet at a chalet in the French Alps. And so she goes there to meet with these other academic people, and what they do while they're there is they dine, they eat, they drink, and they discuss topics, hopefully, that will be interesting to them and engaging to them, and they will learn some new things. Of course, when you get a lot of adults together in an isolated environment, you're going to have drama, and there was definitely drama in this book. There were, once again, several characters in the book that were hard for me to follow who they all were, and mysterious things begin to happen, and it kind of revolves around this clock. The clock was almost like a character in the book, and that was kind of creepy. It is dark academia. It's advertised as a thriller, and I got a little bit of thriller vibes, but it wasn't for me. And I probably, in another month or so, you asked me about this book, and I probably couldn't tell you what it was about. So that's Bright and Deadly Things. Now let's talk about some of the good books I read this month. I have 3. One's a 4 and 2 5s. The first one is The Lie Maker by Linwood Barclay. Never heard of this author. I just joined a Facebook group it's a group for people who like to read mysteries and thrillers, and someone recommended this author. And so when I went to the library the other day, I happened to see that this book was there. I read the blurb and I thought, hey, that sounds pretty good. I think I'll check it out. I'm really glad I did. It was a twisty, suspenseful mystery, and it kept me guessing till the end. It's a story about Jack, who is an author, and he's written 2 novels, but he's kind of down on his luck now, and things aren't going real well for him. Well, he happens to be approached by the government, and what they want him to do is write backstories for people who are going into witness protection. Now, they don't know that Jack's father was put into witness protection when Jack was only 9 years old. And so Jack is intrigued and doing this job and wants to do it. And once they find out about his background and his father was in witness protection, they're not real happy that he was hired for this position, but they let him continue. And so Jack decides to press his luck and ask the people that he's working with, hey, can you help me contact my father? Haven't seen him in a long time. He's made a few contacts with me here and there, but I would really love to make contact with my father. So the lady Gwen says, okay, we'll see what we can do. Well, she comes back and tells him that, hey, your father has gone off the grid. We don't know where he is. We can't find him. You know, he's just gone off the grid. Nobody has contact with him. And so Jack says, well, I'm going to find him. And so Jack starts on his own investigation. He wants to find his father. And when he begins looking, things kind of take a turn, and we find out some interesting things about Jack's father. We actually, part of the story is from his viewpoint, and we learn about what happened to Jack's father and what made him have to go into witness protection. So we get to see the perspective through the father's eyes. And so that was really good, and I like that. And it, even though he wasn't a good person, it did make me a little sympathetic to him because of what he had gone through. Lots of twists and turns in this one, y'all. It was really good. And like I said, a new-to-me author. And I'm going to be looking for some more books by this author because I really loved it. And I gave it 4 stars. That's The Lie Maker. Moving on to my 2 5-star reads for this month. The first one I'm going to talk about is Court. Continuing, y'all. And look at this one. This is over like 700 pages for this one. This is the 4th book in the Crave series. And if you've been following my channel, you know that one of my goals was to finish this series this summer. Well, summer's not officially over till maybe the end of September, and here it could be longer with this heat. And so I've got 2 more books to read, and I'm hoping to get through those before the end of September. So this was Court, number 4. I'm still enjoying him. I gave it 5 stars, just like the others. The journey for Grace and her friends continues in this 4th book. Even though this one was a little longer, I felt that maybe it could have been a little bit shorter. There was some stuff in here that I felt was not necessary. But what happens in this book is that Grace and her friends are trying to save the students at Katmere Academy. And they're also trying to find a way that they can confront the empire, the vampire king, Cyrus. And so that's kind of the premise of this whole 4th book, is them going through all of that. I enjoyed watching Grace and Hudson's relationship, love story develop. I enjoyed that. Another thing that I really liked about this book was that we start to learn more about some of the other characters, some of the other friends that are still trying to help her. And I enjoyed learning more about those characters and knowing who they were and where they came from and what made them who they were. Grace knows that war is coming. There's no way around it, and she doesn't know if there's going to be anyone left standing, but she knows that she is ready and she has no choice. What I enjoyed about Grace in this story is that you see her coming to her own. She's finally accepted who she is and what she has to do. And she has the power, and she's beginning to believe in herself that it can be done. So like I said, book 4, I can't wait for the next 2. I'm ready. So that was Court, 5 stars. Excuse me a minute. And the last book, which also was a 5-star for me. Never heard of this author, never heard of his book. Was in the library again, and you know, a lot of times in the library, on the end cap, they'll have certain books that they're kind of showcasing. Well, this one happened to be on the end cap, and that's The Maid's Diary by Loreth Ann White. And it was there, and I read the premise. It says, Kit Darling is a maid with a snooping problem. She's the invisible girl, compelled to poke into her wealthy clients' closely guarded lives. It's a harmless hobby until Kit sees something she can't unsee in the home of a brand new client. A secret so dark it could destroy the privileged couples expecting their first child. This makes Kit dangerous to the couple. In turn, it makes the couple who might kill to keep their secret dangerous to Kit. It was so good. I read it in one day. It's very suspenseful. It's very character driven. You are not sure from one chapter to the next who is who and what they're doing to each other. It was so good. I could not put it down. I'm going to definitely check out more books from this author. It was full of lies and deception. Oh my gosh, it just kept me guessing. There was just a little part that I kind of thought might happen, and I was right about that, but there were a lot of parts that I had no idea what was going to happen. And I think that you should read this book. If you've never read anything by this author, I think you'll enjoy it. If you like a good thriller, this was definitely a good thriller to read. So, those are the 7 books that I read for August. So I was pretty pleased with that. So if you've read any of these books, let me know in the comments below. And if you're new here, thank you. Please like my video and subscribe. If you've been watching for a while, I appreciate it. I'm working my way toward 200 subscribers, slowly but surely, creeping up every day, and I do appreciate that. So everybody have a great day. I'm going to take my coffee and get started on my next book.